joints right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your ism, right? Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimpin' and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, this that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and to spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for fun. They mash for hours, hooker baths, not showers. Bright and early, down and dirty for the cash and power. They gotta get the cash, the towers, and reach it all to a pimp. In my position, I'm all but exempt. These bras not wimps, I'm like them renegade bitches. BFFs with tricks but never getting paid riches. Grenade bitches, they dynamite, blowing up on the pimpin' and missing when the time is right. But when they life gets strife, they see pimpin' shining bright, but they action is life without. Bitch, one strike, you out. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. See, that's the difference, nigga. The pimpin' mashing for these riches, nigga. Nothing like you master magician, niggas. Smoking mirrors with your game, hella extras to reflect the opposite appearance of a lame. Bitches coming from y'all, I can't rock with those. Tender-footed and rooted in them doctor shows. Soft shoe rituals, minute residuals. Papers on life support, your loots and critical. Something I learned about when running my earn route and working with turnouts is murdering burnouts. Cause knocking one of you niggas for a scarred bitch, that's knocking one of you niggas for some garbage. I'm heartless regardless, empty with sympathy, but banked up to the max with pimpathy. No remedy for me, I'm like this. My life is vice grip, synced in permanent ink. You can't rewrite this. My blood type is P positive, beautifully deposited with a lot of it. I'm popping this shit, and when I pop it so hard I make a trapping ass bad bitch wanna hoe hard. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. Come on, pimpin', man, pop that shit. Show these sucker niggas they can't stop that shit. Let these hookers know if they wanna cop that shit. Treat the bag like it's hot, bitch, and drop that shit. And to you hoes, if you ever took a loss, bitch, show these bitches how to bounce back like a boss, bitch. Let them know that the best way to floss, bitch, is reach that paper to some pimpin' hoe and toss it. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. One of them joints right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your ism, right? Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimpin' and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, this that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and to spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for Man, my apologies for the delay, but Pimp got to come correct. So I appreciate y'all's patience. And you already know what to do, man, when you step into a Pimp's domain. Wipe your feet off at the door, hit that like button, the thing that look like that. So I know it was a delay, but a Pimp gonna make it worth your while. Hold on. Okay. All right. Yeah, I appreciate y'all's patience, man. And you already know my first order of business. Got to hydrate my game, put some love in my body. Got to lead with the love. Yeah. I ain't on mute. Your comment must be delayed or something. James Payne, you saying I'm on mute, but I know I ain't muted. Y'all should be able to hear me with no problem. Y'all can hear me, right? James is saying I'm on mute, but I think you talking about before I got on camera. We might be off track with the timing. Just want to make sure y'all can hear me before we continue. Okay, yeah, y'all can hear me. Cool. Good looking. Appreciate you. Yeah, man, we gonna get into some good game today. Okay, James, for sure. Good looking. I think the timing was off a little bit, but we on track. Now, you dig. And listen, man, it's 118 of y'all in here so far, but only 69 of y'all wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain. Do a pimp a favor, wipe your feet off at the door. Hit that like button. So, hold on. Okay, so we've covered campaigning in the strip club. We've covered campaigning on the blade. Now we're gonna talk about campaigning on the carpet. Mainly the casino, but the carpet isn't restricted to just casinos. We consider the carpet resorts, bars, things of that nature. So, but usually when we think of the carpet, we think of casinos. So, and the thing about casinos, campaigning in casinos, it's gonna have you. It's gonna have you on your A game. It's gonna sharpen you up the most, right? Or if it don't sharpen you up the most, it's gonna get you out the way the quickest, right? If you ain't on point and you're not being sharpened up by your experiences, then you're gonna get pushed out the way fast, right? So yeah, man, Vegas, that's a beautiful place to get your feet wet, right? Because again, like I said, it's gonna sharpen you up. And if you're sharp enough to maneuver through Vegas effectively, then you can pretty much maneuver anywhere, right? Like seriously. I've been a lot of places in the country, and there's no place that it has better defense, so to speak, than Vegas, right? Or really, I'll say better offense because they playing offense, we playing defense, right? So Vegas ain't no place got better offense than them, in my opinion, based on my experience, right? So, you know, with that being said, your defense has to be the best. And one thing you got to know, especially in Vegas, but anywhere that you're moving, if you're moving wisely, you're going to be playing a whole lot more defense than you playing offense, right? And historically, and if anybody who to whom this applies thinks about it, they know it to be true that people in the game that focus more on offense than defense, they usually fall the quickest, they fall the hardest, and they probably have the most problems, right? Because when you playing more offense than defense, you only focused on scoring. You're only focused on what you have to gain, right? But when you moving around in this world and you having success, and you shining, and you just doing a lot of good things, there's a lot of things that can get in your way. There's a lot of things that can move you out the way. It's a lot of things that can stop you. So your defense has to be impeccable. And you got to be mindful of that if you want to survive and thrive, if you want to last, if you want to sustain any type of success that you plan on having, right? Your defense got to be on point, right? And see, oftentimes in the game when we think about defense, we think about them people. But them people ain't the only ones you got to play defense against. You got to play defense against suckers. You got to play defense against haters, right? So we're going to talk about all that, right? And you got to play defense against hating ass wannabe 3-0 foes. So let's get into that, man, because this is one of the most crucial things that you're going to have to play defense against to make sure that you're good out there, right? Now, when you in Vegas, man, it's inevitable. You're going to run into some disrespectful, hating ass females. Now, as I've told you before, there's a difference between haters and fans. People that talk shit about you on the internet, or people that just talk shit about you, period. But they not putting any actions behind the shit that they talking. They just talking shit. Those are fans, especially if they relentless with the shit talking. Those are fans because, you occupying space in their mind, and they just so passionate when they talk about you, even though it might be negative. That's a fan. That's somebody that might have an obsession with you. But a hater is somebody that's, making an effort to cause real life inconveniences for you. Making an effort to have your freedom taken, making an effort to compromise your health and your well-being, making an effort to compromise your finances, right? Those are haters. And there are a lot of those haters in the form of a bitch on the carpet, acting like she's trying to get some money, right? So this is what you got to keep in mind. Like we talking about Vegas, right? So let's just stick to Vegas for a minute. This is what you got to keep in mind about Vegas. The nickname for Vegas, Sin City, it's a very valid name for the city because, it's a certain type of energy, it's a certain type of spirit that comes over you when you come to Vegas, right? and it's a lot of sinful things going on. So within that, you know, drugs and alcohol is like so readily available for everybody, especially alcohol. Like alcohol is the easiest thing to get your hands on in Vegas, and you can have as much as you can handle. It's very easy, right? Because if you gambling, they giving you free drinks, and if you a female, you know, and you coming across clients and you sitting down and talking with clients, they always trying to feed you drinks, right? Clients have no problem, you know, feeding you alcohol as much as you can handle. So with this being the case, you know, for a female, her defense got to be on point too. But most of them's defense is trash when it comes to sensations, substances, alcohol, and drugs, right? I remember a point in time, I don't think they doing that anymore, but I remember it was a point in time, I ain't gonna say exactly where it was, but anybody who knows or who remembers this knows what I'm talking about. But it used to be a point in time, man, where it was a spot outdoors on the strip that we kind of called like the 304 lounge or the punk 304 lounge, right? And in this area, it was like clockwork. Every morning, top of the morning, these chicks would gather in this area. It'll be 10 of them, 15 of them sometimes, but it'll be a pretty sizely group of them. And they would just be right there with the alcohol. You know what I mean? They got bottles, plastic cups, they got pills, they got powder, they got weed, and they would just be out in the open just doing this shit in front of everybody on the strip. It was crazy, right? So that just gives you an idea of how easy it is for a chick to get drunk or high on the strip in Vegas, and how likely it is for them to do it, because most of them don't have the self-discipline to resist it. So with that being said, as a gentleman campaigning on the strip, you're going to come across majority of chicks that are intoxicated by something, right? And a lot of guys be intoxicated too. I used to be intoxicated. I used to drink when I was in Vegas like crazy sometimes. You know what I mean? Fortunately, I grew out of that, and that was like many moons ago. But, you know, you make yourself vulnerable when you come out like that. And it's bad enough the chicks is making themselves vulnerable. Last thing you want to do as a gentleman is make yourself vulnerable, you know, because you're under the influence of these substances. So you want to go out there with a clear, sober mind, right? Because that's when your game is on point. That's when your game is most effective. But you're going to come across a lot of intoxicated females. And what usually goes hand in hand with intoxication is belligerence. Chicks being belligerent and disrespectful for no reason. You might compliment a girl like, "I like your dress," and she might respond, "Nigga, fuck you, bitch ass nigga." You know what I mean? You think I'm playing, but it's a real thing. It's a real thing, man. This really goes on in Vegas, right? You got some chicks that they get drunk, they get high, and they just got a chip on their shoulder, and they disrespecting any and everybody that come across their path, right? So you gotta be paying attention and be mindful of this, right? You don't want to talk to a chick that's too intoxicated, and you don't want to talk to a chick that's friends or standing next to a chick or multiple chicks that are too intoxicated, right? Because, you know, they not only are they disrespectful, but they don't mind compromising your freedom. I've seen situations. I remember one time I was walking with some cats, right? We walking outside on the strip past the casino. And it was these chicks walking past, or I think they were in front of us, right? But we walking in the same direction. They in front of us. It's like two chicks. And as we walk in, one of the people in my group said something to one of the chicks that was walking in front of us, right? And just so happened that right as he's saying something to her, we approaching them people. Them people is like walking this way, and we all walking this way. And as we crossing, like we like this, dude in my group says something to her, and we come to like this point, and she yells at the top of her lungs to the people right here, "Help! He trying to pimp on me." Now, she did it. She called herself, I guess, doing it in a humorous way. And, you know, surprisingly, those people, they just laughed, right? They found it to be humorous, I guess, and they didn't take it seriously. But that's just the luck of that was the luck of the draw. You know what I mean? It could have been some other type of people that would have took that seriously. And next thing you know, we all would have been in handcuffs, you did. So you just have to be careful. And then just, you know, it's so many things that can go wrong when you're dealing with people that's intoxicated in Vegas, right? I remember one time I was getting at this chick, right? This is Square, that, you know, I ended up endeavoring to turn out. It didn't go nowhere, but later on she ended up being in the game, right? But when I shot my shot at her, it didn't materialize into anything. But I remember when I met her, we were inside the casino. She wasn't drunk, but she had a friend, a Square friend that was drunk, right? Now, this Square friend wasn't even a hater. Like when I was getting that old girl, her little Square friend that was stupid drunk, she wasn't even being a hater, right? But this just gives you an example of how dealing with drunk people, how many ways things can go wrong. So we end up migrating outside the casino. So we standing outside the casino, and them people, they parked and standing outside their car, maybe 30 or 40 feet away from us, right? So we standing there talking. Of course, I'm suited and booted. Anybody who remember me back in the days in Vegas, I'm always suited and booted. So it's me, the girl who I'm getting at, and her drunk friend. We all standing there, right? So mind you, this is before the days of Uber. This is during the taxi cab days. And the drunk friend is like, "We need a ride home, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop." So I'm not paying her no mind. I'm hearing her say this, but I'm not really paying her no mind. So this chick, while I'm standing there, she walks up to those people, the boys in blue. She walks up to them and she asks them, she's like, "Excuse me, could you guys give me and my friend," and she points at the friend who's standing next to me. She's like, "Could you give me and my friend a ride?" To the people. And they just saw her walk away from us, and then now she's pointing at us, asking them, you know, if they'll give her a ride. So, they looked at her, and they told her, "You know, we would give you a ride, but since you standing there with that guy, and we know what he is, he's no good. He's a bad kind of guy around here. We ain't gonna give you a ride because you with him. If you weren't with him, we would give you a ride. But since you with him, can't get no ride." So then she stumbles her drunk ass back over here to us and tells us what they told her. And I'm just like, and see, this is why I say you have to be careful when you campaigning on the carpet, because like I said, in that instance, she didn't have any malice towards me. She didn't have any bad intentions towards me. But because she was so drunk, she wasn't being mindful of the shit that she was doing. You know what I mean? And then not just that, but, you know, they had that different kind of paint job. You know, they had pink toes, so to speak. So, you know, when you like that, you kind of raised to think that those people are your friends. You know, uh, they think that them people are to protect and serve. You know, unlike us, we know we have a different experience, right? We see different, we go through different, we know different. So, but yeah, like I said, that's just another example of how things can go wrong. You hollering at a chick, she's cool, she ain't stupid drunk, but she just so happened to be with a friend that's stupid drunk, and the stupid drunk friend is cool. She don't mean no harm, but like I said, that's just an example of how things can go wrong. So like I said, you know, you're going to be playing a lot of defense, because one slip due to bad defense and the game is over. That's how you got to look at it. One slip due to bad defense and the game is over. You out the game. That's how you got to look at it, right? So you have things like that, and then sometimes, man, now this is something that's like, this just so, it's hard for a P to deal with, but sometimes you just got to accept things the way that they are, right? And just leave certain things alone, man. But the haters in company, right? Sometimes you have haters in company that they not drunk or high, and it might not even be a female. It might be a dude. It might be a client that's just being a hater, man. It just don't want to see you win, you know. And sometimes, you know, even though you might be getting action from the person that you getting hated on about, sometimes it's good to just leave that action alone, man. You know, prime example, y'all seen me tell the story about Sinful when we was in Chicago at the Taste of Chicago, and he had the young lady that was like, you know, giving him action, but she was with a group of friends, and one of the guys in the group that wasn't even her boyfriend was just hating on Sinful. You know what I mean? Because again, like I said, they was pink toe people, and they just didn't want to see her talking to a black guy. That's really what it was. And then not just that, but dude, it was obvious that he liked her in that way, but she didn't like him in that way. So he didn't want to see her talking to nobody, but especially not no black dude. So you know, fortunately that situation didn't turn bad, but you know, in most cases, this type of action ain't even worth following through with, right? When you talking to certain chicks and you in a certain area and you just have people in her party that are just hating on you, especially when you in Vegas, man, it just ain't worth it, man. Me, I'm a pass on it because I'm playing the best defense that I could play, and I know that one slip can cost me the game. Game over. So as beautiful as this chick may be, as much action as she may be giving me, when she got certain people in her company that's like really, really hating, like to the extreme, so much so that they don't care about my freedom, they don't care about my well-being. You know, I done seen people get into fights, like physical, you know, come to blows, just trying to get at a chick, and she got some people in her group that just ain't cool. I done seen people come to blows behind something as simple as that, right? So, you know, you don't want to deal with all that. It ain't about being tough. It ain't about being scary. It's just about being smart. It's about being wise, right? And, you know, you just gotta pay attention to your environment, to your surroundings, and understand that, you know, all action ain't good action, right? So, like I say, your defense got to be on point. And, you know, Another thing within the defense thing, right? Having high standards. Now, having high standards is going to save you a whole lot of trouble, especially in 2025, especially in Vegas. Having high standards is going to save you a whole lot of trouble. For real, man, because if you have a strict criteria, then you're going to pass up on a lot of stuff, right? You have to ask yourself if you want to go for a whole bunch of guppies, because it's a whole bunch of guppies out there. Do you want to go for a whole bunch of guppies, or do you want the big kahuna? You want the big fish, right? And if you somebody that's playing to win, you're not just playing, and you're not just playing just to play. You're not playing just to survive, but you playing to win. If you playing to win, then you should be going for the big fish, right? You shouldn't be going for the guppies. So let's talk about, all the guppies that's out there. Not only do the guppies have the higher tendency to be disrespectful and drunk and high and belligerent and out of their mind and problematic and some more shit, right? But also the guppies, they have that goes hand in hand with that. They have the least likelihood of being successful. They have the least likelihood of getting what you sending them to get, what you want them to get, which is, a handsome ransom. So this is what you're going to see mostly when you go out there on the strip. Now, I'll tell you what you should see, because first we'll talk about what you should see when you go to the strip, and then we'll talk about what you actually going to see when you go to the strip, right? Now, when you go to the strip in Vegas, because the stakes are so high, because you stand, if you do the right thing, you stand such a beautiful chance of, having a lot of success, because the opportunity is so great there. You should want to do everything within your power to heighten your chances of having the success that you want, right? That means looking the part. That means talking the part, being the part in every way that you can, right? As a young lady in Vegas, this is how you should be looking at it. This is how the young ladies in Vegas should be looking at it. They should be saying to themselves like, damn, you know what? People hit big around here all the time. It's a lot of opportunity out here for me. So I'm going to look my best. I'm going to smell my best. I'm going to sound my best. I'm going to be my best. I'm going to think my best. I'm going to talk my best. This is what you would think. And this is what you should see out there. What you should see when you go to the strip is the majority of girls that are working on the strip. The majority of them should have on heels. The majority of them should have on a dress or a skirt. The majority of them should have their nails done. The majority of them should have their hair done. The majority of them, should have their makeup on point. The majority of them should smell good. And the majority of them should be sober. This is what you should see when you go to the strip. This should be the majority of what you see, right? And beyond that, the majority of them should be conducting themselves with class. The majority of them should be trying to be as discreet as possible, not trying to draw the wrong attention to them, while also trying to draw the right attention to them. This is what they should be respectful and respectable. This is the majority of what you should see when you go out there, right? But let's talk about what you actually gonna see. Unfortunately, man, what you actually gonna see is the majority of chicks on that strip in Vegas. It's 7 o'clock right now, so ain't nobody really down, but later on tonight, people gonna be down. So this is the majority of what you're gonna see out there. The majority are going to have flip-flops on, sandals, And listen, I don't give a damn if they some Walmart or Target sandals. I don't give a damn if they some Gucci sandals or some Louis sandals or some Balenciaga sandals or whatever. I don't care what kind of sandals they are. I don't care if they cost $6. I don't care if they cost $600. Sandals are sandals. And sandals, when you go out on the strip to get some money, are not fly. It's not a good look. I don't care how much they cost. It's not a good look. And, you know, it speaks so many things. It speaks that you're not fly. It speaks that you're lazy. It speaks that you ain't putting the most effort into your appearance, you know. And usually the chicks that got these sandals on, everything else, you know, is in line with the sandals. So the majority of chicks that you see out there is going to have sandals on. The majority of them going to have dirty feet, right? The majority of them's feet are not going to be done. They're going to have, you know, chipped up paint on their toes, and it's going to look like they ain't got a pedicure in at least 3 weeks or longer, right? The majority of them are going to have long-ass nails like this, and they're going to have at least, out of 10 nails, at least 3 of them is going to be broke, right? Because they're too damn long, and they don't care about, you know, how much money they paid for these nails, and then they don't care about spending more money to go get them fixed 2 days after they got them done. Because this is what happens with most chicks nowadays, especially the young ones. They get these long-ass nails that they can't maintain, and, you know, within 48 hours of getting them done, they're going to pay $200 to get them done, which is ridiculous. But a lot of chicks, they paying anywhere between $160 and $200 to get these long-ass nails done with all these designs and all these, you know, stones put on them. And, you know, they going to do it up real fancy, but they going to cost roughly about $200, especially if the bitch ain't being cheap and she tips the nail tech decently. They paying at least $200, right, for these nails. So they paying $200 for these nails, and then again, like I said, within 48 hours, at least one of those nails are going to be broken, right? And within a week, at least 3 of them is going to be broken, right? So they got these long ass nails, they breaking them, and a lot of chicks is going to be cheap, and they not going to go get them fixed. And if they do go get them fixed, they're going to pay another ridiculous amount just to fix 1 nail or 2 nails or a few nails. But most chicks, you know, they just going to have some busted nails, right? And if they nails ain't all broken up, they're going to be in need of a fill. So they nails is going to be like way down here. You know what I mean? This is going to be the gel or the acrylic part, and this is going to be their real nail. You know, they shit going to be, you know, they're going to be in dire need of a fill. So that, a lot of chicks be ashy. Don't even take the time to, you know, moisturize their skin. A lot of chicks going to be ashy. You know, a lot of them breath gonna stink because they smoking cigarettes or backwoods full of weed, you know. So a lot of them's breath is gonna stink, you know, or, you know, they gonna smoke a backwood by themselves and then try to spray some cheap ass body spray on that they got from Bath and Body Works or something like that. They gonna spray some body spray on, and they gonna smell like 20% body spray, 80% weed, or, you know, stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of that. The dress code is going to be terrible. It be chicks coming to the strip to get money with sweatpants on. I've even, You're gonna be like, hell nah, Freeze, you ain't seen nothing like that. Hey, listen, man, I've seen chicks come to the strip with pajama pants on trying to get some money from a trick. Pajama pants. Yeah. Yeah. This is how bad it's gotten. This is how low of a standard it is. Because see, I do my best not to focus too much on times past, right? But I just have to paint a picture for you, right? Now the way that it used to be, which is the way that it should still be, man. I remember when chicks were scared to come to the strip with sandals on or sneakers on or any type of flat shoes because the 304s was going to roast their ass. Before the pimping could even roast them, the 304s is going to roast them, right? So they would be scared to come, you know, to the strip with sandals on or you know, some Nikes on or something like that, right? Because they knew they was going to get roasted by their peers, you know. So and that's the way it should still be, but they not getting roasted because they the majority now. They be looking at chicks crazy that come out, you know, looking super fly. You know, a chick that, like I said, her shoe game is right, her toes is right, her dress code is right, her makeup, hair, nails, everything, her smell, everything is on point. They be looking at them crazy. The chicks with the sandals on and all that, which is the majority, they be looking at the ones that's fly and upscale crazy, right? But yeah, so like I said, this is the majority of what you're going to see when you step out there. You're going to see pretty much dusty chicks. Dusty. Let me see something, man, real quick. Hold on. If you ain't wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain, please do so now. Hit that like button, man. I'm going to see if I can find something real quick. Give me just a second. Hold on. I know I got it on here. Hold on. Here we go. This is what you're going to see in Vegas. Now that's what's crazy. This video is from 2017, right? And can you imagine that it's only gotten worse? Let me show y'all. This is what you're going to see. Stupid. Hold on. Sandals, flats, sandals. More sandals. That's how you know this shit is old. I had the "What are those?" caption. R.I.P. to the originator of that, who made that statement viral. You dig? Sandals. Excuse me. Hey, those bowling balls. More sandals. Terrible. Sandals.
Shiny slippers.
No, it didn't just smell like crunch. No, oh God, I just couldn't think of it.
Sandals. You know, like I said, that's 2017. Sandals 2025 now. So just imagine what it's like now. I wish I had a illustration of what it's like today, because today, now some of those chicks, if you was paying attention to that video, some of those chicks at least were dressed fairly decent. Some of them had dresses on. Some of them had their nails done and their hair done cool and their makeup and all that. They just had sandals that killed the whole vibe. Eric Gare says, R.I.P. Mr. What are those? He was our Super Ray. Yeah, dude was funny as hell, man. I you know, it's unfortunate that he met his demise the way that he did. He was funny as hell. But R.I.P. to that guy. But yeah, like I said, man, if you pay attention to them chicks, man, you know, the majority of them, or I ain't gonna say the majority of them, but some of them still was, you know, their presentation was okay from the ankles up. But nowadays, man, like I said, I done seen chicks on the strip with pajama pants on, like really trying to get some money. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one here who has seen that on the strip in recent times, you dig? So, yeah, man, you know, this is just me. If I were to, in 2025, if I was on the strip and I was doing my thing, I'm not saying anything to anyone with sandals on. I don't care how attractive she is. I don't care how cool she is. I don't care if she called herself trying to give me action or whatever. I'm not entertaining anyone with sandals on. I'm cool. I don't want no part of that. Because as I say all the time, the smallest gesture speak volumes. And the small gesture of a chick wearing sandals while trying to go get some money on the strip speaks volumes about what type of chick she might be. Right? So I'm cool. I don't want no parts of that. I want people that are, because, you know, I'm doing my best to be my best. So I want people that's doing their best to be their best around me. I don't want somebody that doesn't want to be motivated, who I have to, you know, try to squeeze water from a rock in order to motivate. I don't want to deal with nobody like that. You know, somebody whose vision is narrow and I'm trying to squeeze water from a rock to expand her vision, you know, and get her to see things the way that I see it. Nah, I'm you know, them type of days is over with for me, man. You know, I'm not dealing with, you know, people that I gotta, like, you know, I have to, you know, allow them to drain some of my energy just for us to, you know, see eye to eye. Nah, I'm cool on that. So that's how I see people that wear sandals, people that come out there with flat shoes on. I'm cool. And that whole attitude of, I can make money looking like anything. I done did this with flat shoes on. I done did that with flat shoes on. Well, my answer is always, or my response to that is always, well, imagine what you could have did if you had some stilettos on. As good as you may think that you did with those flat shoes on, just imagine how much better that same outcome would have been if you had some heels on. That's how I look at that. right? And their idea of what success is and a P's idea of what success is usually always different. What they see to be big, we see to be average or small. But yeah, this is a lot of what you're gonna be dealing with, man, when you come out there. And there's just so many things that come along with that. Like if you see a chick out there, she got just picture this. She got sandals on, she got an outfit from Dee Dee's Discount. Her hair, looked like she got a pack of hair that came from the dollar store beauty supply on the top of her head. When she talking to the trick, she got a Hennessy bottle in one hand and a blunt in the other hand. I've actually really seen this. I've seen a chick talking to a trick before. She got a blunt in one hand and a pint of Hennessy in the other hand, and she just talking to and the trick is just talking. That's how you know it's some tricks in the world that ain't shit, boy, because he really was entertaining her. But a lot of chicks like that, not only is their mindset not right, but a lot of times they even if you have action at her and she call herself wanting to get with you, there's always a sucker ass dude on the other end of the situation, right? He ready to unalive and DIE behind her. He just a complete crash out. These types of chicks, they like dealing with crash outs. Them dudes that think they, at least they've convinced her that they the most dangerous person in the world. And, they always putting it on their hood. They always putting it on their set, and every other word is dead homies. And they got a bunch of tattoos that's stupid as hell that don't make no sense, that they paid in top ramens to get in the joint. They like messing with these type of dudes with bad hygiene that barely wash their ass, but they crazy, and they barely can spell, ain't got no game, but they know how to make them feel good. These are the type of dudes that these chicks like. This is who they like messing with. And see, when you end up coming up with some or getting involved with somebody like that, like I said, it's going to be a situation where you thinking way too big for her. She doesn't even have the mental capacity to think as big as you wanted her and needed her to think, right? And, she's cool with low-hanging fruit. She don't want to reach for anything higher. She don't even believe that she can reach for anything higher, and if you show her that she can, she ain't going to want to, right? Some chicks, and see, everybody on the internet make it sound good and look good, but the reality is the game is flooded, man. The game is flooded. The game is flooded with females who are comfortable being low budget and living low budget. The game is flooded with chicks that are comfortable and don't want to do anything greater than less than $100 dates. The game is flooded. The majority of chicks in the game, they don't want to do anything greater than a $100 date. Even if you show them. And after showing them, they apply the game and they see it's effective. They just so comfortable doing 80s and 60s and 50s and all that. They don't want to do nothing greater. They just refuse. They are comfortable with that. You know what I mean? You could show a chick, she motel living, she living in a Roach Motel, but you could show her like, okay, you see what you just did today? If you do that consistently over this amount of time, you're going to be living like this, you're going to be riding like this, you're going to be doing this, doing that. And you can show her a clear-cut path on how to get there, but she don't want that. She want to stay in that Roach Motel. And then this is another thing, right? This common in Vegas. It's a spirit that's common in Vegas, right? You have chicks that you can give some game to, right? Like some of them little dusty chicks that I just described with the sandals and the dirty feet, and they not fly. Appearance is like the interference. Some of those chicks you can take and give some game, and they'll take the game and receive it and run with it and actually make some decent money, right? And then, you think that because she gave you enough money to afford certain things, that's what she gonna want and that's what she's gonna appreciate. But, a lot of these chicks, just because they gave you the money to be able to afford certain things for them, like she might have had a successful run, she been doing good for so long, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna reward her with this type of car. Or I'm gonna reward her by building her credit score up. Or I'm gonna reward her by putting her in this certain place. She might have made the money to be able to afford that financially. And, you can do all of that, but mentally, she's still in that Roach Motel. Mentally, she's still in that bedroom at her mama's crib in the projects. Mentally, right? So, some chicks just have Kool-Aid taste, and they ain't gonna never have champagne taste. No matter how much game you give them, no matter what they do with the game that you give them as far as getting money, some chicks just have Kool-Aid taste, and it's never gonna be anything greater than that. They ain't gonna never have champagne taste. You thinking because you showed her how to afford champagne, and then you let her have a little sip of champagne, you think she's gonna acquire that taste, but no, she just want Kool-Aid. Don't give her champagne. She just want Kool-Aid. Right? But that's a problem that a lot of cats make, man. Especially in places like Vegas, because you be having so much money. This chick done been breaking you off, you know what I mean? And you want to reward her because you fly. You like riding in spaceships, you know what I mean? You like riding in German vehicles and shit like that. And you like living a certain way in certain environments, and you like dressing a certain way and looking a certain way. And you think that because you've showed her how to financially afford these things, that's how she want to live, but she don't want to live like that. So, it's often unwise to try to get her to live that way, to try to, shove that type of taste down her throat. She don't want that. Because man, I see certain gentlemen in the comments, man, so I know y'all know what I'm talking about. And it's certain chicks that have witnessed other chicks do the same thing. But, man, how many times have you bought a chick a car, and then shortly after you buy her that car, she wrecks it? Or how many of y'all done had chicks wreck 2 or 3 cars? She done wrecked your car, her car, and her own car. Right? Every car she get behind the wheel of, she just wrecked. Right? And the cold part about it, if you go get her a little bucket, she ain't gonna wreck that. You know what I mean? But the expensive shit, she gonna wreck it because she don't have an appreciation for it. Even though she's made the money to be able to afford it, she don't have an appreciation for it. That's not what she's into, right? How many of y'all done built up a chick's credit, you know what I mean? Again, because her performance been cool. She been tearing you off, and you like, you know what? I'm a reward her by building her credit. And then with my credit being dope, her credit being dope, after her credit get dope, we gonna be able to come together and do some shit. How many times you done build a chick's credit up like that, and she just do something stupid to ruin it? Or, she might get out on you for a second. She might break bad and go to her mama's house for a month or two, and then she come back and she done ruined her credit but now she want to come back and get with you and resume normal program like it's all good. Like she didn't just go, ruin a whole lot of work that you put in to get her credit right. You know what I mean? Or how many times you done put a chick in a certain place of residence, like a nice condo or a nice house. You know what I mean? And then y'all might not see eye to eye. She, you part ways for a minute, and then she lose the crib. And after she lose the crib, she back on your line trying to get with you and resume normal program. Like she didn't just lose the crib that you put in work to make sure that she was able to have. Right? Kool-Aid taste, man. A lot of these chicks have Kool-Aid taste. No matter how much money they putting in your hand, and no matter how much they can afford what you want them to have, the question is, do they want to have it for themselves? You already know you want her to have it, and you looking at it like, man, this is how this is how I treat my ladies, man. If I'm gonna be looking a certain way and living a certain way, I want my ladies to live and look a certain way too. But a lot of these chicks don't want that. Shout out to the chicks that could think big. Shout out to the chicks that want, nice things for themselves, who just have a big vision, man, and ain't afraid to have big things and do big things, but also appreciate things being done for them. Appreciate nice things being blessed upon them, right? So, yeah, man. You got to be careful. Listen, man, it's 283 of y'all up in here, but only 233 of y'all done wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain. Do me a favor. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button, man. That thing that looked like that right there. You dig? Hydrate my game one time. Okay. Magic Chris, once again, good looking with the $5 holler. Top of it, P. Glory to the game. Blessings to the chat. Appreciate you. The Car King, good looking with the $5 holler. What's good, Freeze? Finally catching you live instead of the replay. Good to see you back, P. It's been a minute. Yeah, man, we right back at it. Appreciate you. Yes, indeed. Tyler, good looking with the $2 holler. Hit the like button. Appreciate you, man. The Bell, man, good looking with that $5 holler, man. Freezes it. You got to do a live on bringing bad habits to the game, drugs, alcohol, and laziness when females go from sugar to shit. Yeah, man, that's a good idea, the Bell. I definitely could get into that one. For sure. Yeah, that'll be a good one. That's a good idea. Study says freeze is it. Can you do an updated video on P. Snoopy. I think you meant to say P. Snooky. I think that's what you meant. He's about to be released. I doubt that I'll do that. I mean, to me, it is what it is concerning him. He's already, it's already been made very public what type of guy he is. Sinful covered that topic and he covered it very well. So, I don't think it's any more that I need to put on it, really. That's like, I don't really see a point. See, me, like, if you pay attention to me, whatever I speak about, it has to make sense. And I don't just jump on everything that's hot. Like, if you pay attention, there's a lot of shit that's hot right now that I ain't even spoke on. Ain't mentioned not one time. Because, like, I'm just a real dude, man, and I know that's a worn out statement, man, but this is how I live. I just live in reality on some grown man shit. And on some grown man shit, I know what it's like to fight a case. So I'm not going to speak on nobody's open case, especially somebody who I don't know, I don't have anything to do with, they don't have anything to do with me. Why am I speaking on their case? I'm not going to do that. And then, it's several cases right now that's big, with situations with people on the internet that people are talking about. I'm not going to speak on it, right? I got integrity with what I do, and my integrity won't allow me to touch certain things, right? And even with like the Say So Peace situation, right? I ain't really spoke on that, and I will say rest in peace to Say So P. He was a young man with a lot of potential, man. And it's unfortunate what happened to him, right? But all the speculation on the internet, everybody saying this and saying that about, what they think happened or, what might have happened or, yeah, I heard this and I heard that and they saying this and they saying that. I don't get into all of that. All the he say, she say shit, I'm not talking about none of that, right? Because all of that overshadows that young man's life. The bottom line is that he was a very young man, and I'm sure he has people, family and friends and loved ones that cared about him nearly and dearly, right? And he's gone now. So to like talk about all this gossipy ass shit about who did what and why and he shouldn't have did this and they shouldn't have did that. Man, I don't get into all that type of stuff. To me, that's like feminine. You got a lot of grown ass men with voices deeper than mine, that's bigger than me physically and older than me, just on the internet gossiping about people they don't know. I ain't into all that type of shit, man. Like, if they want to do that, man, they need to go be like a news reporter or something. Like they need to go get with Fox News or NBC News or something like that and go be a news reporter. But these is people that call themselves being real street people or real niggas and all this type of stuff, man, doing all this shit. Like I ain't into that. Right? So I say all of that to say I don't speak on certain things just because it's hot or I think it's going to get me a lot of views. Like, ooh, if I talk about that. That's just like the shit that I'm talking about, all these open cases and shit that's going on, right? And investigations and all that type of shit. I know that I could talk about that and I could do much better content on the shit than everybody else is doing. And I know I could get a whole bunch of views and get my subscribers up and all that other type of shit. But I don't do things just for the sake of that, because again, my integrity won't allow me to do that. And, I can't do something just for the sake of views and subscribers, but I know it don't sit right with me. And that type of stuff don't sit right with me. Other people don't care. They don't mind. They can speak on shit and it don't bother them and all that type of shit. But me, I just, I appreciate life. I don't watch videos of people getting unalived. Like, the individual who I just mentioned, they say it's a video of him being unalived. I don't watch all that type of shit. You know what I mean? I don't watch no videos of people getting unalived. And it's been a few people who I accidentally seen that happen with, but I don't, it's a video of such and such being unalive, let me click on it. No, I don't watch that type of shit. Because this is a real person who lost their real life, and they got real family and loved ones that really love them. And I know what it's like to lose people like that. So I think about shit from their perspective. Like, I got people that's near and dear to me that, died young and all that type of stuff. So, and tragically and all that. So I don't get into all that. Right. So with that being said, I don't really see a purpose in speaking on Snooki if he's about to get out or anything like that. I just, it's already established what type of individual he is, what his history is, what things that he done. And again, like I said, Sinful really spoke on it in the best way possible, and he broke it down better than anybody could. So it's no point in me even rehashing that, you dig? So I'm gonna leave it alone. Oops, wrong sound. Carlos Enriquez, good looking with the $2 holla. Hey man, how would you avoid gangs in the game? Like I say all the time, you are what you eat. And that not only goes for what you put in your mouth, but what you put in your mind and the company that you keep, right? So, me, I just like, don't get me wrong. I like, being around youngsters in the game, and I do my best not to judge youngsters in the game. But you got to have discernment. And if you pay attention, a lot of cats be, they don't know how to differentiate the two. They don't know how to separate the game from the gang. And they allow the two to be blended and all that type of shit, man. But the best thing is to stay to yourself, man, really. If you have people around you that are true to the game and they don't blend the two, then stick with those people, man. And all that trying to make new friends and all that, nah. And like I was just talking about earlier, chicks that come from guys like that, it's not even worth having. It's just like, you just got to be careful in these times, man. This is why I say that a chick that come from like a crash out type of dude, or just a feminine, emotional type of dude that don't let his nuts hang, it ain't even worth messing with them type of people, right? I remember one time I knocked this chick, right? And she was from a particular state, and when I knocked her, we went to a different state than the state that she was from, right? And she had this stalker ass baby daddy. And, even before, according to her now, could be false. And I have a strong inclination to believe that part of it is false, what she's saying, right? But according to her, they had been done with each other before she and I even crossed paths. But fast forward, me and her dealing with each other, we go from the state that she's from to another state the stalker baby daddy, he just blowing her up. He won't leave her alone. All this shit, right? And he's a square, right? And she's a turnout. So he sending her all these messages, leaving voicemails. Oh, you messing with that pimp ass dude? Woo woo woo. He ain't gonna do nothing but use you. Whoopty whoop. All this shit, right? When I see him, I'ma do this and I'ma do that. All this shit, right? So she young, and what young people have a tendency to do is reveal their location in real time on social media. And I'm not gonna monitor a chick's social media. I know a lot of cats do that type of shit, and no knock to you, but me, I ain't got time to babysit no broad on social media or period. So I'm not gonna watch her every step that she do on social media and all that type of shit and make sure she doing this and not doing that and so on and so forth. But whatever the case, this chick reveals where we stand at in this other state, right? Now, fortunately, I wasn't there, right? I happened to be out and about handling my business, doing my thing. This dude called the people and had them come to where we were staying at to do a welfare check. And he told the people that she was there against her will and she was there with a P, this kind of guy, and all of this shit. So they coming just to do a welfare check to make sure that she's not there against her will and all this shit, right? And the only way that he knew where we was at is because she revealed it on social media, right? So, and she was a cool chick. You know what I mean? I took a liking to her. We was cool. But just things like that coming from a crash out type of dude like me, now I don't even mess with chicks like that. Chicks that got some dude that's like some square ass dude that's obsessed with him, or a dude acting like a pimp, but he really a square and he obsessed with her, and he ain't sleeping and he ain't eating because she gone and all that type of shit. I don't want to deal with nobody like that. I'm cool. I don't need them kind of problems. Because what if I had been there, right? And they don't believe what she's saying, because when they came, she was like, yeah, I'm cool. Everything's, I'm here willingly, no problem, da 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 da. And they left. But and this is a pink toe girl, right? This is a Caucasian girl. Now, mind you, what if I was there? They see this Caucasian girl with this big old black dude, and, they asking her if she's there willingly, and she's saying, yeah, but for some reason, they don't believe her. They thinking she being intimidated, coerced, and all that type of shit. Next thing you know, I'm getting booked because I'm dealing with this girl. She cool as hell, but she just so happened to come from a crash out type of dude that's obsessed with her, won't leave her alone. You don't need them kind of problems, man. So, but back to what you were saying, though, as far as like avoiding gangs in the game, you have to be mindful of that type of shit too. Not just avoiding, guys in the game who come from gangs and shit like that, but chicks who mess with guys like that, right? When you meet certain chicks or you get action at certain chicks, man, you really got to know they background as far as what type of guy they was most recently dealing with, if they got kids, what's they baby daddy like, where is he at, is he in the picture, you know what I mean, how long has it been since y'all was dealing with each, you gotta know all this type of stuff, right? Because it'll have you in some nonsense. And then not just that, but like if you out campaigning and a lot of these dudes, they be like hella possessive, and you could just tell by the way that they talk if they in the circle or whatever the case may be. Or, some dudes, man, they don't take their eyes off their girl. Man, I done seen, like, we talking about campaigning campaigning on the carpet, right? I done seen dudes, man, that follow their chick from casino to casino. For real. I done seen dudes follow their woman from casino to casino and watching her like a hawk, making sure that she don't get out of pocket, making sure that don't no pimp say nothing to her, making sure that, that he approves of the clientele that she's talking to. And if he don't approve, he gonna walk up and say something to the clientele. Or, if a pimp try to say something to her, if a pimp even look at her, he walking up to the pimp and saying, hey, what you doing looking at my baby mama? All this, like, so it's good to, like Sinful say, observe and stay preserved until you see who deserves your time. Because a lot of these chicks don't deserve your time if you pay attention, right? Just prime example, right? And I think I might have told this story before, but one time I'm young in the game and me and my veteran partner, we walking. It's top of the morning. It's like the crack of dawn, right? And we crossing a bridge from one casino to another because any of y'all who've been to Vegas, you know that when you cross the street, there's bridges that you walk across. You don't just, at certain intersections, you don't just walk into the street. You walk over a bridge to cross the street, right? So me and my veteran partner, like I said, I'm young in the game at the time. Me and my veteran partner, we walking across the bridge, and as we're crossing the bridge, there's this guy. I'm familiar with him. He called himself some pimping, but he really a GD from Chicago, and he more so on the GD side than he is on the P side. I done seen him get into it with people and all this shit, right? So whatever the case, I'm familiar with who the guy is. I know who his baby mama is, all the shit, right? Now, when we crossing, I don't even see his baby mama nowhere. We going like this, and me and my veteran partner, we just walking and talking, and we just walk past them, keep going, right? When we get to this side of the bridge, he makes it to the other side of the bridge, and then he busts a bitch, and now he following us over to where we going, right? Now, when we get to the other side of the bridge, there's like an intersection where you can go this way or that way. Well, when we get to that intersection, there's these two young ladies, right? They down doing their thing. And then there's another young lady over here talking to a client. That's dude, baby mama, over here talking to the client, right? So my partner, he started talking to the two chicks over here. They wasn't my style, so I didn't say nothing to them. But he was talking to both of them. So while he's talking to both of them, I'm standing over here by myself, and dude, baby mama over here talking to the client. Now, like I said, I'm familiar with who they are. I know that's his baby mama. I know, and when I seen him do the about face, when we walked down and I seen his baby mama, I'm like, oh, that's why he did that, because he's scared that we gonna try to say something to her. But I didn't even look her way. I seen who she was, and then that was it, right? So dude, he catches up to us, and in front of the client. And this looked like he looked like a cool client. And, for the record, just to give you context, his baby mama was very attractive. She was like Puerto Rican or something like that. And she was a very attractive young lady. But I know who she is and I know who he is. And that I'm not interested in none of that to do with that at all. I never sweat her. I've never said a peep to her, and I barely even look her way, right? So he makes it back to where we are. And like I said, I'm just standing there. And he's standing there watching me for a minute. And my partner over here talking to these two chicks. And then he just flashed on me in front of his baby mama and the client. In front of her, she got action. Right? They negotiating. Nigga, why you over here trying to sweat my bitch? You see she busy? Ooh. I'm like, who are you talking to? Needless to say, he killed all the action that the baby mama had with dude. Now the baby mama, she just sitting there looking like, she just shaking her head like, and I'm like, dude, man, ain't nobody even thinking about your baby mama. What is your problem? Oh, nigga, you trying to be slick. You over here waiting so you could talk to her, and you see she busy and woo, and all that. I'm like, dude, man. Then he want to take it from that. See, like you said, gangs in the game. He want to take it from that to, man, you West Coast niggas, man, y'all, whoop, y'all gangs, and I'm from Chicago, and we got mobs, and we got organizations, and da 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 da. And I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't do no gang shit. I'm a pimp. Like, what are you talking about? But I'm just saying, you from LA, right? You from LA? You know about gangs? I'm like, dude, I am a pimp. I'm from LA, but I'm a pimp. I'm not no gang member, not no gang banger. I don't what the old man say on South Central, I don't know no aces, I don't know no deuces. I don't know none of that. You know what I mean? That's how I was, you know what I mean? So this is just an example of how, you got dudes in the game that are, heavily associated with gangs, and, they don't know how to separate the two. And them type of dudes really don't have no business in the game. But like I said, I wasn't even looking at his baby, wasn't thinking about his baby mama. I was just really waiting for my partner to get done talking to them two chicks that he was talking to so we can continue on going where we was going, right? I'm just waiting for him. I just so happen to be in between where he talking to the chicks and, the baby mama and the client, they probably like 15 feet away from me over here, and my partner, he like 10 feet over here talking to these chicks. But this is just an example of how you got certain dudes in the game that be like I said, they be crash outs over these females, and they be really heavily into the gang shit mentally. Like mentally, they haven't separated the gang shit from the game shit, right? And really, it's just about being observant. You just gotta observe your environment, observe your surroundings, and avoid certain individuals accordingly, right? That's what I do, man, because you have situations like that. Now, the older and wiser me, because when I seen dude turn around, even before because when he turned around to come follow us, once he made it to the other end of the bridge and then he turned around to come after us, I know how he is. So when he turned around to follow us, I hadn't even seen his baby mama yet, but I just had a feeling that she was over there because that's how he is. He hovers around her. He follows her from casino to casino. I done seen him get into it with pimps that have actually said something to her, actually tried to sweat her. I know how he is. So when he turned around, I kind of had a feeling that's why. And then as we continue walking, I seen her, and I'm like, yep, sure enough, that's why he turned around. But like I said, the older, wiser me, just to avoid the confrontation, even though it didn't turn into nothing, he just was talking shit and I was talking shit. But just to avoid that drama altogether, I would have probably just gave more distance between me and her. Even though I was far away from her already in my mind, I would have just, went way to the other side where it's not even a thought that I'm trying to say something to her. You dig? And that's what I would advise anybody else to do in them type of situations, man. Even though you may believe that you in the right, hey, man, just put distance between yourself and them type of people in them type of situations, man, because even though that situation didn't turn into nothing, you have certain guys that would have tried to escalate it and turn it into something even worse, right? So, yeah, you just got to be careful with that. But it's unfortunate because you have, especially in 2025, you have a lot of guys in the game that are still, gang banging. And they, like I said, they haven't separated the two, right? Now it's a lot of pimps in the game that come from somewhere, right? And it's understood that they come from somewhere, but they not active. They not actively gang banging and trying to pimp at the same time, right? They ain't forgot where they come from. And, they might still go back to their neighborhood and, rub elbows with they people over there and shit like that, but they not involved in the activities. They not beefing with nobody. They not riding around looking for enemies. They not set tripping on nobody, hitting nobody up where you from and all that. They not banging. They just from where they from, but they done left that alone and they over here pimping now, right? But a lot of these young guys don't know how to do that. And it'd be sad because, man, I done seen some of these young dudes, man, that just can't leave the gangbanging alone. And I be telling myself, like, man, if P could just leave the gangbanging and stop hanging around with niggas with Pooh Shiesties on, and if he could just stop riding around with dudes that got Dracos in the car, if he could just leave all that shit alone, man, he'll be a cold pimp. But, it'd be dudes like that be fly and they charismatic and they just be having action. They be knocking some cool young work, but they just can't leave the gangbanging shit alone. And it's some cats I seen like that that's locked up right now. It's some cats I seen like that that's unalived right now, and it's because they just couldn't leave that shit alone, right? But even guys like that, because you might take a liking to certain dudes, man. You rub elbows with certain young cats, and you like, man, this dude kind of smooth, man. I like the way he do his thing, but then you get to seeing how he just won't leave the gangbanging shit alone. You gotta leave him alone. You know what I mean? It's cool to chuck the deuce at him as you driving past, but all that jumping out, chopping it up with him and all that type of shit, nah, because you got to keep that in mind too. A lot of these dudes be in active beefs, and you don't want to be guilty by association. If somebody coming trying to get them, you don't want to be caught in the crossfire and all that type of shit. This type of shit really goes on in the game, and you don't want to be a part of none of that type of shit, man. So as much as you may think certain guys are cool, when you see that they still tied up in that gangbang shit and, they got active beefs going on, or they kicking it with homies that got active beefs going on, and, they got to be careful where they going and all that type of shit. You got to be careful of that type of shit. You don't want to be associated with none of that. So, yeah, as far as like avoiding gangs in the game, you just got to pay attention and be mindful. Lord Love Smith, good looking with the $10 holla. Those street dudes with podcasts speaking on street business are most likely confidential informants. Some of them might be. But then again, some of them are just addicted to clout, and they don't care about, the consequences of, certain things that they do under the influence of clout and for the sake of clout. Some people will say anything and do anything. And, some of them might be CIs, but some of them might not be. Some of them might just be unwise. So, but I know one thing, like I said, I don't speak on none of that type of shit. I don't get into details about, people's cases because, I'm thinking about how all these people on the internet is talking about this shit, and you have somebody in real life sitting somewhere, going through this shit in real life. That ain't cool. I'm not going to speak on it. And the people that you talking about to get on these podcasts and talk about that type of shit, they should be thinking like that too. But they don't. It is what it is. KC Watts, good looking with the $5 holla. Glad to see you back making content in 2025. Those Johnny Cash roasts you and Sinful did were funny as hell. For sure. Good looking, KC Watts. Appreciate you. Immortal Glory, good looking with the $5 holla. Appreciate you. But yeah, I spoke a lot about, the types of things to play defense against. Uh, Lojo, I don't know if Sinful told a story about that. Is the alleged GD the same person that got someone unalive just by association? The guy that I'm talking about, no, not that I know of. Sinful might have told a story that I don't know about, and it might be he's probably talking about somebody different. But the guy who I'm talking about, him and Sinful had words with each other before too. Because again, he always want to have these gang conversations with people in the game. And yeah, him and Sinful had some words before too, but I don't think it's the same guy. Yeah, but like I was saying, I spoke a lot about things to play defense against, right? And now we're going to talk a little bit about the fine line between defense and offense, right? You got a lot of wolf in sheep's clothing in Vegas. And what I mean by that, you might see a chick that's beautiful, banging body, gorgeous face, dress code up to par, just fly from head to toe, but she might be them people, right? She just might be them people. She just might have a pair of handcuffs in that little bitty YSL clutch, right? She might be just the person that's, dying to hook and book you, right? But gorgeous. So you got to be careful of that type of stuff too, right? Prime example, and I think I've told y'all this story before. Sinful probably told you the story before too, but I remember one time me and Sinful, we in the casino, right? And we standing next to this bar. And Sinful and I, we don't drink, so, he probably got a cranberry juice. He probably got a pineapple juice. I probably got a cranberry juice. But we standing there by the bar. Of course, we suited and booted. And this gorgeous white girl comes up and starts talking to us, right? And she looks like, a lady of the evening. She looked like she down and about it. And, we sitting there chopping it up, and she just comes up and starts talking to us. So at first we having a conversation with her, and it just, as the conversation continued, it just became more and more uncomfortable. She just didn't seem genuine in what she was saying. And then, the conversation didn't last long, but shortly into the conversation, what killed the conversation is she was like, yeah, tonight's a good night. It's early, and I don't even, because I think it was like 10 something. It wasn't even 11 o'clock yet, if I remember correctly. And she was like, yeah, it's good tonight. It ain't even 11 o'clock. I done already made a band. I done already made $1,000. And me and Sinful looked at each other and looked at her and then looked at each other again, and we didn't say a word to her. We just walked away. Because it's situations like that we both knew people had been in that, the very next thing they say, it might not even have nothing to do with the game. Next thing you know, they're getting handcuffed, right? So we just walked away because, there's a very high likelihood that she was one of them people. That's just like, for instance, right? This one cat that I knew, he was in Vegas, and he talking to this chick, and the chick just said to him that she was a working girl, right? And then he continued talking to her, but he didn't pop no pimping. He didn't pander. He didn't try to pimp. He didn't try to intimidate, coerce, or force. He didn't do none of that. He just simply continued talking to her. Next thing you know, they cuffing him up. They booking him. And he like, man, what y'all doing? And they like, oh, you going to jail for pimping and pandering. You try to pimp and pander on that woman, and she ended up being them people, right? She was a decoy. She was undercover. And he like, but I didn't even say nothing to her. And they were like, well, just the fact that she made it known to you that she was working and you continued to talk to her, that alone is grounds to arrest you. So just the fact that, so he was like, so it's illegal to talk to a working girl? And even though it's not in so many words, they pretty much was like, nigga, for you, yes it is. Right? But this is just how crafty them people can be out there, right? So this why you got to be real careful, right? Because in some of these situations, you see a beautiful young lady and she's giving you action, and you might think it's time to play offense. And while you might be endeavoring to play offense, you still got to play a little defense in there too, because she just might be one of them people. But you can't forget about the offense too, because there's been times where I've had action at somebody, but they talk so recklessly that it scared me, and I didn't follow up on the action. I'm like, man, this got to be them people. I'm cool. The next thing you know, you see another cat. You know what I mean? He going to breakfast with her. He walking through the mall shopping with her. Like, yeah, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, fresh work around here, man. You know what I mean? People doing his thing. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And you be like, damn, I was supposed to have that. You know what I mean? So like, but at the same time, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'd rather miss out on some potential action than, have action at some handcuffs in a jail cell and a nasty ass peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I'm cool. I don't mind, being safe and not being sorry. You dig? Appreciate y'all getting them likes, right? But let me hydrate my game again one more time. And if you haven't wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain, please do so now. Hit that like button. Now let's talk a little bit more about the offense, right? As y'all have heard me say many times before, it's a beautiful thing to speak with your appearance and speak the right things with your appearance, right? So it's been my experience that this is one of the best ways to speak with your appearance. Dressing like a grown man. You don't always have to necessarily be in a suit, but, having jeans hanging off your ass, loud T-shirts and shit like that, or just a T-shirt period, right? With jeans hanging off your ass and stuff like that. You might think that because you don't have a suit on that they ain't looking at you like you a pimp, but hey, man, just like 304s can spot a P, then people can spot a P too. And just like you can spot a 304, they can spot a 304. Because guess what? Just like you outside all night playing offense trying to have you one, they outside playing offense too, trying to have them one. So they know how to spot shit just like you know how to spot shit, right? So don't think that because you got some street clothes on that, you're being more discreet with your appearance and staying off the radar of them people. Nah, that ain't it, because it don't matter how you dress. That's my point. They gonna know who you are, especially if you're a regular out there. You coming out there on a regular basis. It don't matter how you dress. They gonna know who you are. So with that being the case, it's a beautiful thing when you speak the right language with your appearance, when you speak maturity with your appearance, when you speak gentleman with your appearance, when you speak class with your appearance, right? It just helps you. Y'all heard me tell the story the other day about the situation with me and Sinful, where the officer told him, I see you and your partner, y'all, I know who y'all are. I know y'all not like them other guys. You guys are more classy, but stay out of my way when I'm doing my job, and I'll stay out of your way when you're doing yours, right? So for an officer to talk to a pimp like that, it lets you know that, if you conduct yourself a certain way, they might know what you're doing. But if you conduct yourself the right way, and basically you're not forcing their hand for them to do their job. Now it's not something that you can guarantee, that you can rely on, but, you just want to be mindful of that when you're out doing your thing, right? So me, most of the time, I'm going to be dressed like a grown man. I ain't going to be dressed like a teenager. I ain't gonna be dressed like a skateboarder with a poodle hairstyle. You know what I mean? I ain't doing all that type of stuff, right? Speaking of that, I just gotta show it. You know what I mean? Gots to show it. This is how you don't go out there to campaign on the carpet. Hold up. This is not how you go to campaign on the carpet. You don't go to the carpet looking like this. You know what I mean? Now, if you was in Las Vegas on the strip campaigning like this, not only are you going to have Las Vegas Metro police on your ass, but you're going to have the fashion police on your ass too. This is not how you, hey, listen, man, you're not going to last 2 seconds on that Las Vegas strip going out there to campaign like this, man. Don't never, ever, ever, ever go out there looking like this, man. You're not going to last. You're going down, man. Don't ever go out there like that. You're going down. You know what I mean? That ain't how the pimping look. We don't come outside like that. You dig? Don't never, ever, under no circumstance think about coming outside to the strip like that, man. You know what I mean? We don't come outside with the hair like show enough. You know what I mean? We don't do that. We don't dress like Tony Hawk. We not doing that. So and then like I said, when you come out there dressed like a grown man, then people might identify you. But as long as you're not doing anything to force them to do their job, they're gonna let you make it in a lot of cases. Right? So and then not just that, but see, it's also good to build a good rapport with people. Like if it's a certain bar that you go to in a certain casino, it's good to, treat the bartenders or the drink servers. It's good to just treat them well. You know what I mean? Tipping them good and things like that, man. You just want to have a good reputation wherever you go, and you want to treat people well wherever you go so that people admire you. They look to you with admiration. And, they might put you up on game about certain things, if need be. It's just good to have a good rapport with people wherever you go, and a good reputation and just have a good energy. Like when people see you coming, it's a pleasure to see you coming. You don't want people to see you coming and you know what I mean, you walking through the casino like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying, man, yeah, so after I broke on a bitch, man, you know what I mean, I kicked that bitch in her motherfucking ass and say, yeah, bitch, you know what I mean, this is how I feel, you know what I mean, get with some pimping around here, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know, and then you walking up to the bartender like, yeah, man, you know what I mean, go ahead, give me another shot of that shit, man, you know, and bartender give you a shot and they constantly, you know, serving you drinks, and then you ain't tipping them, or if you do tip them, you leaving a $2 tip, and you just loud and belligerent. You got your pants hanging all off your ass, and your breath stink, and you know what I mean. You loud and cussing, and just ain't got no class. You know, if you going like that everywhere that you go, and it's a lot of cats that do that, it's you gonna have like a repulsive type of energy about yourself, and you know people gonna want to fall back on your ass. So you don't want to move around like that. You don't want to campaign like that, you know, because like I said, you want to have that type of vibe that when people see you coming, it's a pleasure to see you coming, right? And you know, a lot of times them people, like I said, they'll let you make it as long as you ain't forcing them to do their job, right? Sylvia, as always, good looking with the $2 holla. Discretion and discernment. Yes, indeed. That is the key. Yes, yes. And like I said, man, speaking of offense, me, myself, I like to go after the best. As I was talking about the other day, man, you know, I view my pimping like the NBA or the NFL. You know, I'm scouting for the best. I want to draft the best. You know, I want to acquire the best for me because I believe I'm the best, and I'm going to be my best at what it is that I'm doing. So I want somebody who is applying themselves to the best of their ability, who is doing their best to look their best, doing their best to be their best. You know, so when I'm outside moving around, I'm looking for a particular thing. I know what I want and I know what I don't want. So I'm looking for a particular thing, right? And me, you know, I'm not going to name specific locations, but there's specific areas that I like to frequent when I'm out there doing my thing. Anywhere, not just in Vegas, but wherever the carpet is. You know, in most places where there's the carpet, you have your less desirable places and you have your more desirable places. Me, I like to frequent the more desirable places, right? And I'm going to do my best to avoid the less desirable, even though sometimes you might find a diamond in the rough that just need a good buff in the less desirable places. But me, I like going to the, you know, more desirable places, right? Where the stakes are higher. And, you know, in order for somebody to survive and thrive in them type of areas, they got to look the part. Because I like being in them places where when you don't look the part, they're going to run you up out of there. Right? Because you already know in certain casinos in Vegas, if chicks come in there looking ratchet and dusty and it's one of the more upscale places, you know, they might let her move around for a little second, but, you know, eventually they're going to run her up out of there, especially if she ain't patronizing the business, meaning she ain't buying no drinks, she not gambling, she just in there. No, get up out of here. And you looking a fool, you dusty, get up out of here, right? So like I said, I'm looking for a particular thing when I'm up in there. And so when it comes to shooting your shot, when you playing offense, right, when you see something that you believe deserves your time, you've observed, you've stayed preserved, and then you see something that deserves your time, as Sinful to P would say, now it comes to shooting your shot. Now, you know, this is why, you know, I believe meditation is good, because I like to visualize. I like visualization. I like to visualize myself doing certain things before I actually go to do it, because I've already created it in my mind, and when it comes time to create it in my actions, it's like I'm not doing it for the first time. Even being a seasoned vet, and ain't none of this my first time, but I just like to visualize. It just makes it better. So you want to think about how most guys are, like, if you just sit back, right? If you just sit back and think about how most guys approach a woman, an attractive woman, if you just go outside and you go outside like on a busy night, like a Friday or a Saturday, and you just go from casino to casino in Vegas and it's super busy, and you just pay attention to the attractive women and see how guys approach them, you'll see how lame dudes are and how everybody, for the most part, has only a handful of different approaches, and all of them is mostly lame, right? So this will give you a good idea on how to have a different approach, right? Like I told y'all the story, prime example, right? And it's not to say that all of these guys' approaches were lame, but it is to say that none of their approaches were unique enough. So like I told you the story before, and I think Sinful told you the story before, where, again, I'm young in the game, we in the casino, and it's this chick that has a reputation for getting a lot of money, and she's super loose and being super out of pocket with everybody, right? Everybody who wanted to interview this chick, she gave them action. And she literally talked to like 20 Ps in this one casino over the course of like maybe an hour, between an hour and 2 hours, right? She talking to everybody. Everybody sitting down, chopping it up with her for a few minutes at a time, but she didn't move with none of them, right? So I'm just sitting back paying attention, and I'm noticing that, everybody's approach is pretty much the same. So I just sat back, and then after she was done talking with everybody and everybody was done talking to her, everybody ended up in the valet. Like a lot of the Ps that she talked to ended up in the valet, and she ended up in the valet, but she went to the taxi line. And when she went to the taxi line, that's when everybody had fell back from her. So then that's when I made my approach. So when I walked up to her, I said, "You must either be very green or very unhappy." And, that piqued her curiosity. She's like, why you say that? I said, because, the way you just talking with everybody, you got to be either real green or real unhappy, but I'm willing to bet that it's probably the latter, that you're just unhappy. And then she invited me to breakfast. She didn't invite none of them other dudes to breakfast. She was like, "You want to come to breakfast with me? Can I take you to breakfast?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." So I jumped in the cab with her, and we went to the Pepper Mill, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to the Pepper Mill in Vegas, man. You know what I mean? Where a lot of legendary things that took place in this game, man. For those of y'all that know about the Pepper Mill, man, hey, the Pepper Mill, and they got good-ass food, too. And they parfait, that parfait they got at the Pepper Mill, fire. But yeah, man, we rode to the Pepper Mill and did what it do, right? But like I said, I sat back and paid attention to everybody's approach. Now, more than likely, what everybody was doing was telling them what they could do for her, right? And I think I told y'all that part of the story before, but while we ride in the cab, she just telling me about the different conversations that she had with some of these dudes. And this is why it pays to just pimp, man, and it pays to just be genuine and not be afraid to pimp, because a lot of dudes be scared to pimp because they think if they pimp too much or too hard, they gonna scare the broad and blow their action. But some chicks like it when you really pimping, though, right? Because she was telling me about a conversation that she had with one of the guys. They was sitting down, and he was telling her how she could have her own bank account, and they could split the trap. Like, he'll take his 50% and he'll allow her to put her 50% into her bank account. And she listened to this. She like, yeah, okay. But she told me, she was like, he not knowing that I'm a real hoe. I like breaking myself. You know what I mean? I don't want nobody that's going to do 50-50 with me. I want to break myself. Right? And, I was the guy that likes breaking on people. So, it was all good. Right? So, like I said, I just sat back and paid attention, and I wasn't listening to all the conversations, but I just was paying attention to how, nobody was piquing her interest. And I know how a lot of these dudes are. They'll sell a chick a dream and not be willing to give her what she pays for if she pays for the dream that they selling her. A lot of cats just, get to talking about what they could do for a chick. A lot of cats ain't asking her no questions. They letting her do the interviewing because they know she got a reputation for getting a whole bunch of money and tearing it off. So, a lot of cats, they ain't asking no questions. They ain't trying to get to know her. All they trying to do is get her to accept them and choose them. So they telling her what they think she want to hear instead of telling her what they believe she needs to hear. Right. So, I wasn't afraid of blowing no action or nothing like that. And I just, I was just being myself. Right. So with that being said, like I said, if you just sit back, if you just go out on a Friday or Saturday night and go to the different casinos and observe, most dudes have the same handful of approaches, and most of them are lame. Right? So it's a beautiful thing when you just think about and be creative about how you're going to approach a woman. Right? First of all, you got to pay attention to the woman. Pay attention to details, like I've told you before, details that most guys are going to overlook, right? And women love, because a woman that takes time to look her best, she making sure every little detail is right. Every little part of her makeup, you know what I mean? Her hands, her feet, every little part of her hair, you know what I mean? The way she's dressed, her scent. A woman she's paying attention to every little detail, right? So if you the type of guy that can observe and take notice to details that most guys are going to overlook, because if she got a fat ass, that's the first thing they're going to see. If she got some big titties, that's the first thing they're going to see. You know what I mean? So if you know how to look past all of that and take notice to something else that she took time to make sure it was right, but most guys are overlooking, and you make mention of that, that alone is like one of the best ways to charm and disarm a chick and get her attention and have her tuned in to you, right? But beyond that, you just got to be creative, man, and think about things that's going to pique her interest, right? And be able to counteract with what the majority of guys are doing. Like I said, the majority of guys are coming the same, and the majority of guys are super lame. So if you know how to counteract that and be flyer, be more creative, be funnier, you know what I mean? Like I say all the time, humor is one of the best ways to charm and disarm a chick, man. If you can make a chick laugh out the gate, 9 times out of 10, you got her attention. You got her where you want her now. If you can make her laugh, right? So, these are just some good ways to play offense. And like I said, you want to do this with the best. Chicks that look like they took time, right? Especially you, because me, like Kenny Red said on American Pimp, man, it's going to take me about, 2-3 hours to get ready, man, because it's lights, camera, and action when you step outside. So me, anybody who really know me, man, from the time I was a kid, I told y'all, Pops used to call me Page 43, man. You know what I mean? Jet Beauty of the Week was always on page 43, man. So Pops used to call me Page 43. as a teenager, man, because I've always taken a long time to get ready. But, I just want to look my best. So, if you're the type of guy that takes an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to get ready, you don't want to get with no chick that looked like she just rolled out the bed and came outside. She just and she just, she got the blunt fired up already, you know what I mean? In 5 minutes, she out the door. Nah, you don't want nobody like that, man. You want somebody that look like they took their time to be fly. You know what I mean? And catch a high caliber client when they step outside. That's who you want, right? So that's just me, man. I want the best because I know I'm presenting the best. So I want the best. Shout out to the best of y'all out there, you know what I mean? Shout out to the ladies that take their time to be fly and look good and smell good and be good, and ladies that, think big, ain't afraid to think big and ain't afraid to be big in order to have big, right? Shout out to y'all, you dig? Shout out to them type of ladies, man. Let me give y'all a round of applause, you dig? Hold up. King T Bass, good looking with the $10 holla. Freeze. Excuse me. Please tell us about that story about a P in Memphis that got out the Hummer and left, came back, and came back and finally left. Fired up about the game, man. I'm trying to think of who you talking about. In Memphis? I don't think you talking about in Memphis. I think you talking about a P that was from Memphis. If I'm not mistaken, I think you probably talking about a story that Sinful told before, and if my memory serves me correctly, you're talking about a P who was from Memphis, but we weren't in Memphis. We were in New Orleans, I think. And I think I know who you talking about, man. He was super fired up about the game. He left and came back, left. Yeah, yeah, that dude, man. He if it's who I think it is, if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, because I'm thinking of a P from Memphis that had a Hummer, and he did used to be super fired up about the game. And if I remember correctly, man, that P, shortly after the time that you talking about, if we talking about the same person, shortly after or around those same times, he had a young lady get unalived by a trick at a hotel out there, right, in Metairie. And I remember shortly after it happened, man, me and Sinful was in the mall, and we seen dude in the mall, man, and he broke down and cried in front of us about the shit, man. Like he was messed up about that, man. That's like that's a pimp's worst nightmare, man, is for a young lady that's messing with him to get unalived. And she was doing, I think, an in-call, and the trick, did that, man. And like I said, he seen us in the mall. He stopped. We talked with each other, and then he broke down and cried, man. And y'all know how Sinful is, man. Sinful prayed for the man, and he was, beyond thankful. And yeah, it was a good encounter. But hopefully You know, that was a long time ago, man. I hope he was able to bounce back from that, and I hope he's doing well wherever he is. I haven't ran into that guy since back then, man. That was a long time ago too. But hopefully wherever he is, he's doing cool. But I think that's the same guy. But yeah, you know, back when everything was all good, man, he was super fired up. And he was jumping out that Hummer and, and left and came back and left and came back. I'm pretty sure we talking about the same guy. Only thing is, we were not in Memphis. He was from Memphis, and we were in New Orleans. Because, you know, in New Orleans, man, it's a whole bunch of Memphis cats down there doing their thing. Historically, it's always, as long as I know, New Orleans always had a gang of Memphis cats down there. So, Limitless, good looking with the $2 holla. Appreciate you, man. Back to this game we never left. Yeah, man, you already know, man.
But getting back to this game that I never left.
You dig? Appreciate you. Brother Bill, good looking with the $2 holla. Glory to God for this game. Long live Sinful to P. Appreciate you, man. For sure, for sure. Whatever happened to it's international though. Yeah. You like what you see, don't you? International with this shit though. International. I don't know, man. I ain't seen that dude. I don't even know if he was like if he really stayed in the game for a long time or not. Correct vision. No, it's not Mink. His name was Mick. Not Mink, Mick. That's crazy that you know what I'm talking about, though. It sounds like you know what I'm talking about. Not unless Memphis Mink had a Hummer too, but the cat that I'm talking about, his name was Mick, Memphis Mick. You know, it's a whole bunch of Memphis dudes. You got Memphis Mink, Memphis Mick, Memphis Blue, Memphis Red, Memphis Yellow, Memphis Orange, Memphis A, Memphis B, Memphis C, Memphis D, Memphis 1, Memphis 2, Memphis 3, Memphis 4, Memphis Bobby, Memphis Ronnie, Memphis Michael, Memphis Ricky, Memphis, you know, Memphis Jesus, Memphis Satan, you know what I mean? Memphis, every name you could think of, man, it's a pimp from Memphis with that name. Memphis this, Memphis that, you know what I mean? Memphis here, Memphis there, Memphis everywhere. Here, Memphis, there, Memphis, everywhere, Memphis. It's a I'm telling you, I'm being funny, man, but every Memphis name that I just named, I guarantee you it's a pimp with that name. You know what I mean? Memphis Table, Memphis Able, Memphis Fable, Memphis Cable, Memphis Mabel. You know what I mean? Memphis Laptop, Memphis Blacktop, Memphis Orange Top, Memphis Blue Top, Memphis True Top, Memphis Tupac. You know what I mean? It's a Memphis, every name you could think of, man, it's a Memphis P with that name. Memphis popping it, Memphis stopping it, Memphis dropping it, Memphis copping it, Memphis confident. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, man, it's a Memphis P. Every name you could think of. You know what I mean? It's a Memphis P with that name. Memphis Trump, Memphis Hump, Memphis Bumps, Memphis Dumps, Memphis Lumps. You know what I mean? It's every name you could think of, man. It's a Memphis P with that name, man. Shout out to Memphis, though, man. Those my partners over there. I got a lot of love for Memphis, man. I'm cool with a lot of Memphis P's, too. So, but all of them, not all of them, because it's some P's from Memphis who don't put Memphis in their name, but the majority of them is Memphis in their name, is Memphis ... whatever their name is, you know what I mean? They put Memphis in front of it all the time. Right, Memphis Blackberry, Memphis Blueberry, Memphis Trueberry, Memphis Raspberry, Memphis Strawberry. Oh, man. Brandon Carr say, I'm from Memphis, freeze you hell, laughing my ass off. Hey, Brandon, you know what I'm talking about? You know it's a Memphis P with every name you could think of. It's a Memphis ... Memphis Cadillac, Memphis Benz, Memphis BMW, Memphis Lincoln, you know what I mean? Memphis Bentley, Memphis Rolls Royce, man, Memphis Jaguar, Memphis Aston Martin, you know what I mean? It's a Memphis P with every name. Memphis January, Memphis February, Memphis March, Memphis April, Memphis May, Memphis June, Memphis July, you know what I mean? It's Memphis Monday, Memphis Tuesday, Memphis Wednesday, Memphis Thursday, Memphis Friday, you know what I mean? It's Memphis West Side, Memphis North Side, Memphis East Side, Memphis South Side, Memphis Southwest Side, Memphis Southeast Side, Memphis Northeast Side, Memphis South Northwest Side. You know what I mean? It's a Memphis everything, man. Like Memphis Sundown, Memphis Sun Up, Memphis Dawn, Memphis Break of Dawn, Memphis Memphis Sunset. You know what I mean? It's a Memphis for everything, man. Shout out to Memphis though. Yeah, I got love for Memphis though, man. One thing about Memphis, man, them cats got a lot of personality. They got a lot of game. They got a lot of charisma, man. And you know, if it's like really a pimp from Memphis and he really some pimping, like he not, you know, pimping / gang banging or pimping / scammer or pimping, he ain't got no slashes on his ass. If he really some pimping, he gonna fuck with you, man. Like Memphis, you know. And one thing I like about Memphis is that they stick together, man. Memphis is the most united region of P's in the game that I can think of. I don't know another place that's like more together and more, you know, they down for each other as Memphis is. You know what I mean? Memphis, they just a united, you know, and they be deep, you know, usually wherever you go, when you see one Memphis pimp, you see a bunch of them, but they all, you know, they rock with each other, you know what I mean? P's from other places, they be all, you know, distant and they don't mess with each other. They don't have the same type of camaraderie that Memphis do, right? And that's one thing I admire about Memphis. Lee Williams, good looking with the $5 holla. How you feel about that peso and sauce situation? Sin, I think you meant to say Sin said sauce wasn't even a real P. Why would someone want to kill the pimpin' though? I think that's though. Why would someone want to kill the pimpin' though? You know, I could easily say, you know, this, that, and the third, man, but, you know, only thing I'm going to say about that is, you know, rest in peace to Say So and a speedy recovery to Sauce Walker. You know, I'm not going to make assumptions about what happened and, you know, who should have did this and who shouldn't have did that and who might have did this and it probably happened because of this, and I don't get into all of that. Only thing I'm going to say is rest in peace to Say So. Best of blessings to his family and loved ones, and, you know, a speedy recovery to Sauce Walker. You dig. Will Cashgrove, good looking with the $5 holla. That Mac Poodle roasting on Dino. If y'all weren't there for part 2 featuring Mac Rooster himself, classic. For sure, man. Good looking, Will Cashgrove. Yeah, we done had some classic roastings though, man. You know what I mean? Sinful had nothing against Sauce. Nah, yeah, Sinful didn't have nothing against Sauce. And, you know, I had the opportunity to meet Sauce with Say So last year in Vegas, man. They was together, man. And, you know, me and Say So had spoke online before with each other. So me and Say So kind of had like a rapport with each other online. So when I seen him in Vegas and he had Sauce with him, you know, I chopped it up with them for a few minutes. We had a cool little conversation, man. And, yeah, he was a cool dude, man. It's unfortunate that he lost his life. Say So was a very intelligent young man too, man. You know, He was an intelligent young man. He had personality. From the impression that I got, you know, if he really mess with you, he gonna mess with you. He gonna hold you down. He was a cool young man from what I saw. So, rest in peace to Say So. May the Most High be merciful concerning him. Say So was really the P. I ain't even gonna get into all of that. Like I said, all I'm gonna say is rest in peace to Say So, man. But yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up in just a second. And, hopefully y'all soaked up a lot of good game from this live. Hopefully y'all appreciated this live. You dig? And listen, if you ain't wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain, wipe your feet off at the door when you step out of a pimp's domain before we get up out of here. We're going to chop it for a few more minutes. Sinful never had anything against anybody. He just had a pimp's tough skin. Yeah, man, see, Sinful, he just come from a different time and a different experience, man. See our generation, those of us who are in our, late 30s and early 40s right now, we was kind of like the last generation that was able to be active with the guys who were active in the 70s, right? Like dudes that's coming into the game right now, you're not going to really be able to rub elbows with an active P who's active in 2025 and he was active in the 70s, right? Y'all didn't really get the opportunity to have that, right? And we did. We was like the last generation to be able to get that, right? After us, it ain't really no guys that was able to, like, I'm talking about be active and campaign, and you watching this cat that was active in the 70s, he older now, but he's still active, he's still doing his thing, right? And you able to witness that firsthand and learn and observe from that, right? And just, go through all the experiences in the game that we go through. Sinful and I and those of us in our generation, we come from that, right? So with that being the case, man, it was man, them cats could be ruthless with they tongue, man, with their words, man. They, man, cut you up about every slight little thing that you do, man. So that's the type of energy that Sinful picked up early in the game, man. Wasn't nobody sparing him, so he came up not sparing nobody, right? So with that being said, see, a lot of people don't understand that about us as the pimping. Just because we chop somebody up, that don't mean we hate them. That don't mean we beefing. That don't mean we enemies. You know what I mean? We the type, we'll chop each other up, and say some harsh things to each other, but it's a fine line. See, we don't get disrespectful. We know how to chop each other up respectfully, and some people might get their feelings hurt or whatever the case may be, but we'll chop each other up, cut each other's pimping down, and then go have a drink with each other or go have dinner with each other. You know what I mean? And be cool and be laughing and joking with each other after we done chopped each other up. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a customary thing with the pimping. That's why, part of the reason why I was roasting Rooster the way that I was, because, he always talking about, oh, man, you think you could just say anything to me, man, I won't punch you in the mouth. Woo, woo. He always talking about getting violent with the pimping. And it's like, why you want to fight the pimping just because what the pimping said? That's just what we do. We cut each other up. but we don't take it personal. I like Dre's analogy, right? Dre, he likened us to battle rapping, right? Because if you look at battle rap, those guys, man, they get disrespectful. They say some of the craziest shit to each other. They talk about dead relatives and kids and mamas and grandmamas, and man, them battle rappers, they say some harsh shit to each other, right? But when the battle is over, everybody's cool. They not trying to unalive each other. They not beefing with each other. You know what I mean? But when they get in the ring, when they battling each other with the rapping, it's no holds barred. Like everything goes. Verbally. They chop each other up, you know what I mean, with the rhymes, and then when it's over with, they cool. Everybody cool with each other. They might go have drinks with each other, or they might go eat dinner with each other and all that type of shit. Everybody's cool. They might smoke a blunt together or whatever. Everybody's cool, right? So that's how it is with the pimping. We the same way. You know, we'll chop each other up, man, cut each other down. But only difference with the pimping, we don't really get disrespectful with each other. We not calling each other out each other's names. You know, pimping, we don't call each other bitches, you know, or we don't sex play each other. You know, we don't undermine each other's manhood. We don't get into all of that. We don't talk about each other's kids. We don't talk about each other's mamas and shit like that. We just go straight at your pimping, right? That's what we do, but we do it in such a cold way, boy, to have a square ready to fight. You know what I mean? But that's just what we do. And then, like I said, once it's over with, we cool. Like, man, me and Sinful used to go at it like, y'all wouldn't understand, man, unless you was able to see it, man. But those who have been able to see us chop each other up, man, me and Sinful would go at it. I'm talking about heated debates. But at the end of it, we was always cool. Like once it was over with, you know what I mean, we'll go chill, go campaign together, eat dinner together. We didn't drink, you know what I mean? So, you know, but it was all good. We wasn't mad at each other. We'll never be, you know, in our feelings about what one said about the other and all. We, you know, that's just how pimps get down. You know, most people don't understand that. So. Yeah, so I say all of that to say, like, you know, that's how you know that, like Correct Vision said, man, you know, Sinful, he wasn't mad at nobody and he wasn't beefing with nobody, but, you know, that's just how we do. We cut each other up, or, you know, give constructive criticism to the ism, or, you know, call a spade, but it don't mean that we mad at the individual. Michael Weston, once again, good looking with the $2 holla. Appreciate you. Correct Vision, you a fool. Freeze, tell them about the time Sinful asked you to bring the groceries in the house. Hold on. I could do you one better than telling the story myself. Well, it is me telling the story, but let me do this. Hold on. Let me find it real quick. Give me just a second. Appreciate your patience. Hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. Hold up. Yeah, man. Yeah, this was cool, man. This was one of my favorite live streams, man. Hold on. Here go the story right here, Correct Vision. Yeah. In the location where it took place, you dig? Good old memories, right? Got some funny stories for y'all too. I feel good over here. Okay, man. This is T-Mac's old place. T-Mac used to live in these apartments over here, man. It's the parking lot where he used to park his old school Cadillac. Well, it wasn't really old school back then. It's an old school lac now. T-Mac used to stay in that upstairs one right there. That upstairs apartment right there. That's where T-Mac used to stay. You know what I mean? Me and Sinful used to be over here all the time, man. And I got a funny story about to tell y'all. I know Sinful probably done told y'all the story before too. But yeah. Damn, they got trash galore around this motherfucker. Okay, so I know Sinful probably done told y'all the story. No, not probably. He definitely done told y'all the story because I think he done told it with me live before, right? But I remember one time Sinful had went grocery shopping for T-Mac, right? Because T-Mac used to cook for us all the time. So we used to come over here. We would eat and shit. You know what I mean? So, you know, Sinful had bought some groceries for T-Mac one time. And T-Mac pulled up and parked right here. I'll never forget it. T-Mac pulled up and parked right here, right? And Sinful was like, he was either 5 or 6 deep at the time. And he had all his hoes right here at T-Mac house. So he pulled up right here. T-Mac pulled up right here. And Sinful tell me and T-Mac to help him with the groceries and shit, right? Take the groceries up them stairs in the T-Mac house. So I tell Sinful, I said, P, is you crazy? You really want to put pimping to work when you got 5 hoes sitting in the crib? You know what I mean? You better put them hoes to work, man. Have them hoes come out here and grab these motherfucking groceries, man, trying to put this pimping to work, man. What's wrong with you? I had to cut in and Sinful that day. You know what I mean? But right, the Natra, you remember that story. But that happened right here, though. You know what I mean? T-Mac pulled up and parked right here. You know what I mean? And Sinful wanted me and T-Mac to help him take the motherfucking groceries up these motherfucking stairs right here, upstairs to the damn apartment. You know what I mean? I was like, pimp, hell no. You better tell them hoes to come out motherfucking side and come over here and grab the groceries out this car, because we not doing it. Yeah, it's funny. I had I had brought my baby mama over here before, right? So what was happening at the this is a funny story too. I think I told the whole story. Let me see. Time, my baby mama was in the process of blowing up on me, right? Now, like I said, I'm young and green at the time, man. So I was acting like super pimpish, you know what I mean? I was acting like I was just too pimpish for the situation, right? When I really, you know, the me now would have pimped a whole lot more differently in that situation, right? So what happened was, you know, mind you, my baby mama, she was an internet chick. You know, she didn't really like the casinos. She didn't really like the blade. You know, she was an internet girl. You know, so she had a laptop that she took everywhere she went. You know, and she like adored this laptop because that's how she got her money. You know what I mean? That was back in the days of Craigslist. You know, this is back when Craigslist was popping. before Backpage, before Mega Personals, all that shit, it was Craigslist. So this back in the Craigslist days. So my baby mama had her laptop over here at T-Mac's house, right? So she had met some bitch on the strip, and she was like, got cool with this bitch, went home with the bitch, got high with the bitch, smoked some weed, drank with her and all that type of shit. And she decided that she want to go leave with this girl. She don't want to be with me no more, right? So she has the girl drive her over here, you know what I mean? And she come tell me, she don't want to be with me no more. She want her stuff, because she had all her clothes and everything over here, right? So they pulled up and parked again right here. My baby mama and this broad that she want to go, be on a punkscapade with. They pull up and park right here, and then the little broad, she waits in the car for my baby mama right here. Baby mama come up there to the apartment saying that she want to leave, right? So I'm like, shit, bitch, if you want to leave, then take your ass home. You know what I mean? And so she grabbed all her stuff, right? And she walked with all her stuff over here to the car. So Mac Man, he see everything that's going on. He like, damn, Freeze, you just finna let the bitch leave like that? He like, you ain't gonna check the bitch, or you gonna let her leave with a bitch? You know what I mean? Like, I could see if she was leaving if she chose over some pimping, but you finna let the bitch leave with another bitch? And you just finna let that happen? You ain't gonna check them hoes? I was like, man, fuck them bitches, man. I ain't thinking about them bitches, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. I'm acting super pivot about the situation, right? So Mac Man, like, okay, so you done with the bitch? Because if you done with the bitch, I'm finna shoot my shot. Mac Man was an older cat, you know what I mean? He was like in his late 50s at the time, but he was a fast, cunning, sharp, you know what I mean, witty motherfucker. He didn't move like the average damn near 60-year-old. Like, Mac Man was a fast motherfucker. He worked his ass off. You know what I mean? So he seen the opportunity and he wasn't gonna let it pass. So Mac Man like, shit, if you done with the bitch, let me get at her then. You know what I mean? So Mac Man go shoot his shot. He go to the car, shoot his shot at both the bitches, but didn't neither one of them want to fuck with him at the time, right? So baby mama, she ended up leaving, right? So damn, I got the story fucked up. This is another part of the reason why the baby mama wanted to leave, right? She wanted to leave because she couldn't find her laptop. Like I said, she adored that laptop. That's how she got her money. She couldn't find her laptop. So not only was she cool with this bitch, but she couldn't find her laptop. You know what I mean? So she thought I took the laptop from her. So then, she had already been cool with this bitch, but once she couldn't find her laptop, she go meet up with the bitch and say she want to leave with the bitch. So that's when she come over here and say she want to leave because she couldn't find her laptop, right? So she come over here, she like, you got my laptop, whoop. I'm like, bitch, I don't know where your motherfucking laptop is at. Shit, you lost it. I ain't lose it. It ain't my laptop. So you know how the saying goes, somebody will steal something from you and then help you look for the shit they stole. That's what Mac Man was doing, right? So mind you, this is T-Mac's house. So we over here looking for the motherfucking laptop. You know what I mean? And we looking all over the apartment for the laptop. Mac Man helping me and T-Mac, all three of us, we looking for this motherfucking laptop. I'm looking for it, Mac Man looking for it, T-Mac looking for it, right? We looking under the couches, you know what I mean? We looking behind the entertainment center. We looking in all the cabinets in the kitchen, you know what I mean? T-Mac looking all through his bedroom, his bathroom, all the shit, right? So, we look everywhere, we don't find the laptop. Now, I tell T-Mac, I say, did you look under your bed? He like, yeah, I looked under. I said, well, let me go in there and look, P. T-Mac get mad. He like, nigga, I done told you I done looked under my bed already. Why you trying to go look? You don't believe me? You think I'm lying to you? So now me and T-Mac start getting into it, right? And Mac-Man is just sitting there watching this shit, knowing that he is the reason that we get into it. But of course, he ain't gonna say nothing because he got the laptop, because he know the laptop is the power. He know the laptop is giving him the leverage to have the bitch, you know what I mean? If you got the laptop, you got the bitch, you know what I mean? That's what Mac-Man, he understands this, you know, so he watching me and T-Mac get into it. He watching me and the bitch get into it. He see the bitch getting ready to leave with another bitch because she mad and whoop. So that's another part of the reason why I was like, well, bitch, fuck it. If you want to leave, leave, because we had already been getting into it and I wasn't finna beg this bitch to stay. So, but Mac-Man mastermind this whole shit. So, when the bitch come get in the car with the bitch, you know what I mean? Mac-Man, he come down here, shoot a shot. They don't give him no action, right? So the bitches, they leave. Mac-Man got the laptop the whole time. I'm not knowing, T-Mac not knowing, the bitch not knowing. Don't nobody know Mac-Man got the laptop. But Mac-Man, you know what I mean? So Mac-Man like, he like, man, Freeze, you ain't gonna try to have the bitch? I'm like, man, fuck that bitch. He like, well, shit, give me her number. You know what I mean? Let me have her number. So I give Mac-Man the number, you know what I mean? He ended up getting at her, you know, but by the time he got at her, she had went back to Arizona because that's where she from. I mean, so she had made it back to AZ, and you know, it was like around Christmas time, you know what I mean? And Mac-Man, Sinful was in the county at the time, so that's why Sinful wasn't around. You know what I mean? Sinful was in the county fighting this case that he ended up going to prison for. At this time, he was in the county. So I think I had went back to Cali or something like that. Whatever the case, but I wasn't in Vegas come, you know, New Year's and all. No, you know what? I think I was here. But whatever the case, right? It's like around Christmas time, almost New Year's and shit. And Mac-Man sent me a picture of the bitch with her son. You know what I mean? Because her son was little at the time. He was like 2 years old. No. She had both of her sons. One son was like 3 years old. And the baby boy, he was like 2 months old or something. Like, she had just had him. You know what I mean? So the nigga Mac-Man, he sent me a picture. I think it was New Year's Eve. He sent me a picture of the bitch with her kids at his spot. You know what I mean? Out here in Vegas. So he like trying to put it in my face that he got the bitch, you know what I mean? But, you know, come to find out, he got the bitch because he got the laptop, you know what I mean? He called her up. You know, of course, he tried to act like he did something super pimping in order to get the bitch, you know what I mean? But he called the bitch up, let her know that he had the bitch laptop, like he found it miraculously somehow. He just done found the laptop, you know what I mean? So, of course, she gonna come to get her laptop. So she came to Vegas to fuck with him, but really it was just to get the laptop. She was with him for like a few days, then got out on him, you know what I mean? And yeah, funny as hell though. Mac-Man, motherfucker, shout out to Mac-Man though. Boy, Mac-Man, that motherfucker was that Mac-Man boy, he was a crafty ass dude, man. Shout out to Mac-Man though. I know he out there in Vegas, cause one thing Mac-Man was always known for is magic. He's always done magic. Like, he know how to do card tricks and just all kind of magic, right? And I remember I seen a video of him maybe probably about a year ago or so, and he was doing magic out there on the Strip in Vegas. You know, so because I always wondered, was he locked up or, you know, what was going on with him? And last I knew, he be out there on the Strip in the daytime doing magic and shit like that. So shout out to Mac-Man, you dig? But Mac-Man was a crafty ass dude, man. Man, he caused all that drama, man. Stole the laptop. See, that's why I say, man, you know, you just got to be careful, man. But it was a lesson learned. You know, I'm appreciative of those types of lessons and having learned those early in the game. You know what I mean? Shit like that, going through shit like that, it just made me so much sharper, right? To the point now, you know, now wouldn't nobody stand a chance pulling no shit on me like that. And then not just that, but I don't let any and everybody have access to me to that degree. So, but yeah, I appreciate those lessons though. Low Joe, good looking with the $2 holla. Can you upload the chop with Sinful and Double D? Yeah, I could. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I gotta find it. I know I got it. I for sure have it. I just gotta find it. But once I find it, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, that was another classic. That was a classic for sure. Man, it don't even seem like we've been live for 2 hours and 50 minutes, man. But I appreciate y'all for wiping your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. If you haven't done so, please do so now. Wipe your feet off at the door. Hit that like button. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up. Hydrate my game one more time. Put some love in my body before we go. Yeah, this was a good one, man. I had fun. Okay, let's see. Hold up. Davey D. Lee, good looking with the $5 holla on Cash App, man. Appreciate you. Much love. Stay on it like you want it, P. For sure, man. Appreciate you, Davey D. Lee. Good looking. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up, man. As always, I appreciate you for tuning in and tapping in with a pimp. I appreciate you for all the shares, the comments, questions, jokes, input, feedback, all that good stuff. I appreciate you for subscribing. I appreciate you for hitting the bell when you subscribe. I appreciate all the super chats, the cash apps, the PayPals. I appreciate your support in every which way that you comes with it, man. Y'all already know who it is and what it is. Freeze is it. If you out in traffic moving around, please do so in a safe fashion. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to P. We out.